Slow down. You got a penalty for cutting the
we've
cord.
blown it. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the weekly races that we're running here on our S1 Races channel on Twitch. Last week was the first time, which was awesome. We did have a couple of people tune in. Thank you, Greg and Kyle, for being early supporters. As always, very supportive members of the sim racing community, amongst being, as well as being pretty fantastic drivers. Greg Hoverson shared some pretty big news on Instagram this week, which I won't share here, but feel free to follow him, Gregory Hoverson and Gregory Hoverson Racing on Instagram, to share a pretty epic milestone. One of only 5 people in Canada to have achieved it within the sim, so congrats, Greg. Okay. So, for anyone who may not have joined us last week or has joining in for the first time, here's the plan. So the S1 Racing YouTube channel has been around for 2 and a bit years. God, I can't even remember when I started it, but let's call it that. It is focused mainly on sim racing initially, live racing endurance events. That was super fun. Continue to do that. It broadened out into kind of iRacing setup guides. I've really enjoyed doing that because I have learned a huge amount myself, actually, about the sim as I've kind of gone through that. I still don't class myself as really an expert in terms of getting things set up, but I have dedicated significant time to doing that now, so I always enjoy sharing what I've learned. In that vein, we did drop an iRacing graphics optimization guide. The second one that we've done, this is a full kind of redo top to tail. It's a little bit long. It's over an hour long, but it's broken down into chapters, so it's pretty easy to see. And it has been super popular, actually. It's by far and away been the most viewed content on the channel for the amount of time that it's been live, which is awesome. A bunch of people have shared kind of comments, given me some ideas and inspiration for related videos, let's say, for that, which has been awesome, so thank you for that. And the plan with the channel now is we've done RS6 content that'll appear from time to time, as I do interesting stuff with the car, which as we head into winter will kind of thin out a little bit. Maybe we'll get onto Lake at some point this winter. Did that briefly last year, which was super fun. And yeah, I might be a bit better organized with camera gear if we do it again this winter. But the one thing that I've wanted to do for a while is get back in the sim more, not just to stream the endurance events, which I do love doing, but to actually have a bit of a schedule and stream each week. So that's what we're doing. Every Wednesday night, 9:30 Eastern time, I'll be in the sim. And initially I've opened a new account because I want to do a little journey through rookies. Not the first to do it, totally get that. But there's a ton of advice out there, a ton of techniques for how to get out of rookies quick and what to do when you're learning the sim. Some of it's great, some of it's not so good. And so I wanted to provide my perspective on that. And so at least for the next couple of weeks, as we're still in rookies, I'm going to jump into rookie races, kind of talk through, commentate on the race as we're going, hopefully have some incidents. Last week, we got wiped out on that one, so we can make a comeback. Super interesting, so it was kind of good, interesting stuff to talk about. And I've got a bit of a list today, actually, of things that I want to touch on, and I'll just kind of go over those really at various points as we go throughout the race. So tonight we are back in the MX-5. You should be able to see my screen. This week we're at Oschersleben, which is probably a terrible pronunciation, but that's as good as I can do. The race is going to start in about 25 minutes. This is a track I did not know, same as VIR last week. Probably know this one even less, actually, because I have done about 15 minutes over the weekend and then 15 minutes just prior to starting this stream, so my times are not super competitive, but in the rookies level, they'll probably be reasonable, so that's fine. And so, I'm going to jump in the sim now. We're going to run some practice laps, and then we will jump in the race and we'll just see how it goes. For those of you who are catching up on the highlights that are posted to YouTube, basically roughly 24 hours later, depending on how my workday goes, thank you for tuning into those as well. I do my best on those highlights just to kind of chop it down into the most interesting things, of the race, or things that I kind of talk about related to rookies, just so you kind of get the best bits of the racing and the chat tonight. Okay, so let's jump in here. You know what I realized I didn't do at the end of last week was kind of show you the outcome of the race. So we should do that. So here we go. Started first, finished third, had 3 incidents, but let's jump into that in a bit more detail so that you can see. Here we go. So strength of field obviously is going to be around 1300 because of, that was the very first race we were doing with this account. Even though we had 3x, which is not great when you're at the higher license levels, we still actually made 0.25 safety rating, which is much bigger than I expected. I'm used to having an A-class license, and 3x incidents means probably 0 gain and probably negative actually in the A-class, and that's kind of how it works. I don't have the specific mechanics, but safety rating is more generous in the lower license classes, not by a ton, but a little bit more generous, so it enables you to progress, but it becomes harder and harder to gain safety rating as you go up the classes. It's still possible, so of course if you're running around with 0x's, no worries, it will slowly build, but you notice that you sort of get less credit, relatively less credit for the clean races. So I felt this was a bit of a bonus, having a 3x in a 9-lap race and still getting 0.25. Now this doesn't show iRating change, but I know from my overlays we got around 50 or so iRating points, which makes sense. We finished on the podium, and you know what, it was a good all-round race. We had the fastest lap, probably not that surprising as we're not coming into rookies fresh. Had a good pole time, and then as I said, I think we got punted, but you know, there could be differences of opinion. But it was fun to work our way back through the field, and in the end, you'll see here, we just finished just behind P2. So we were in with a shout right until the end, just couldn't get him on the line. I'll just talk through quickly the sort of mechanics of how you get out of rookies. It's all there online, so it's not like this is a secret, but just for anyone who might be looking at this and doesn't have the full picture. In effect, you've got to do a minimum number of races, which I think is only 2. I probably need to double check that, but I'm pretty sure it's just 2 races, and I think that should apply to the different types of cars, so road, oval, formula cars, if that's what it's called. Oh, it's not, sorry, road is sports cars. So sports cars, formula cars, oval. I think it's just 2 races. However, and it's not really about where you finish on those 2 races, actually. You could be at the back for those 2 races, and it will still count. So that's, you know, that's all good. But what really matters is the safety rating. So you need to have cleared a safety rating of 3.0, and you start on 2.0. But as you can see with my last race, we got a plus 0.25. So if we have a similar race or better in terms of incidents tonight, I probably will have got sufficient safety rating to be eligible to get out. And if it is indeed only a 2-race requirement, that then speeds me out of rookies immediately mid-season, which is kind of cool. Now, in the higher license classes, don't expect the same thing to happen. You've actually got to get over 4 safety ratings, so you've got to go up another whole level. So, of course, it's going to take you more races. And the MPR, I'll be honest, I'd have to check, but I think it's more than 2 races. Well, it's probably not more than 2 or 3, but the safety rating jump is bigger to be able to advance to the higher license during a race season. Now, you don't have to do that. You can just be sitting in the 3 point whatever throughout the season, and as long as you are above 3, but you're below 4, and you've met your MPR, so minimum participation requirement, then you will also graduate up to the next license class. It'll just happen at the end of the season rather than you being able to sort of fast track it during the season by just blowing your safety rating all the way through to 4.0. But to be honest, it's pretty easy to get up to 4.0 as long as you're driving sensibly, and so that was always my target moving at the license classes. It's not necessarily to do it as fast as I could, but to have the goal of driving safe so I could hit 4.0 during the season and then make that jump up. Let's have a chat about safety rating, actually. This is always posted on the forums. Well, to be honest, mainly on Reddit, actually. Often from people who are new to the sim, they want to understand how it works. And by the way, sporting code will tell you everything you need to know. But even if you have read it, there's some nuances that are worth, worth learning about as well. But the safety rating system, I actually really like it in iRacing because I guess you would class it as a no-fault system. Let's just pause it here. So a no-fault system where if you were involved in any contact of an accident, whether you caused it, somebody else caused it, or you could literally have just been driving by it and just nick another driver's bumper, trying to take avoiding action. Every driver that's involved in that contact takes the same punishment, be it a 2x, a 4x, whatever. I don't know what the maximum is. I think probably a 4x for a single incident. A lot of people still a bit unhappy about that. They'd prefer the sim to be smarter and put blame on different drivers for incidents. But I'll be honest, I doubt you could ever get an AI model, as accurate to always get that right. And then even if you feel like you did, every accident has two perspectives from it, and really until you break it down, look at one driver's perspective, another driver's perspective, were they using triple screens, what could they see, what couldn't they see, and blah blah blah. It's impossible to get it 100%. So I love that iRacing is a no-fault system, but it's important to know, because what it really means is avoidance of incidents and being able to anticipate accidents, coming off the brakes early, not just plowing through and assuming you can make it through scot-free, is really important. And it's super important when you're trying to make up license tiers, because you cannot gain the license tiers without safety rating. That's effectively what they're built on. So in rookies, there's things out there, talked about it a bit last week, start from the pits, let people by, hang out at the back, just get a feel for everything. For me, in race conditions, you want to be racing. You want to be learning how to race alongside other cars. You want to learn how drivers can be unpredictable. Some drivers can be predictable. You want to learn about your driving. You want to make sure that you don't just know how to get round the track on a single line, because you can do 100 laps around a track and have it dialed in, and that's great. And then in a race, you may never take that line around the track for let's say tonight, the full 9 laps if you're in traffic. So great, you know the track and you know where you want to be, but if there's a car there, you can't be there. So I like the safety rating system. I think it works well for me. It taught me a lot in rookies. I did what everyone did, got involved in scrapes early on, slowed down my progression, then learned, hey, safety rating is key. And then, of course, you kind of build that confidence and off you go. But there is no substitute for just racing around other cars. And whilst, practice is key, learn the track in test session for sure, but as soon as you have a reasonable feel for it and you're not a menace to anyone else, get into and I think I talked about this last week, but just get into an open practice session with other cars, and just get used to driving around. I mean, it's not a race, but there's other cars around. You'll have to take avoiding action. There's no safety rating penalty for just regular open practice, which is not tied to a race session. So, enjoy it. So that's kind of key for safety rating. We talked about how it impacts progression and how in rookies, you'll get safety rating easier than you will in the higher license classes. And by the time you get up to A, you know all about it. And it's challenging to maintain it if you're in really close racing, especially if you're in sports cars, because bumps and scrapes happen all the time in that. But to be honest, as you're going through those initial license tiers, for me, it's a great way to learn to drive safely. So I've seen on the forums like, just bash out time trials and stuff like that. And for anyone who doesn't know, you can do time trials, which is just you against the clock, no other cars in the session, and you will get safety rating for that. But I think it's like at a quarter, a half, the ratio of what you get in a regular race. I don't know exactly, but it's certainly not the full. So it takes much longer. You don't learn anything from my perspective, because you're not learning how to race by doing that. And so, if you do enough laps, you will indeed push up your safety rating. I think most of us have done it at some point when we've been trying to retain our safety rating and we've just had a bad couple of weeks in the sim. I mean, look, there's no problems there. But I feel like when you're in rookies and you're trying to progress, I do time trials if you want to learn the track, I suppose, but otherwise, just get into practice race sessions and just hang out with other drivers. No better way to learn, to be honest. What else? What are the other unofficial guidance we sometimes come across? Oh, here's a good one. One that I didn't know about until at least a year into the sim. I've never actually used it, although I do like the idea of it. Once a race has started, you can join as a spectator, or you can just join the race session, so then you'll be able to watch everyone racing, but you can actually jump in a car. Now, no one else can see you. which is great. No one else, you can drive through people. It's just as if, you weren't there for everybody else. But if you aren't quite ready to have a race with others, but you kind of want to get a feel for what's it like racing in a pack and have no worries that you're going to hit anyone else, that is a really cool way to do it. Obviously, you join, the race has started, whatever, come out of the pits, get yourself in the mix of some traffic. No one will have a clue you're there, but you can sort of pretend to be racing with them and make decisions. And of course, it's at no cost to anyone else or to you in terms of, you can't crash into people. You just drive straight through them. So I've never tried it myself, but I do love that as an idea, as a way that if you just don't quite have the confidence to be racing, early on when you're starting iRacing, but you know the track and you could kind of keep up with folks, well, go jump into a rookie race as a spectator and then jump in the car, and then you'll just kind of be this ghost driving around. Although from your perspective, you'll be able to see everyone racing and you can kind of treat it as a real race. So I think that's kind of neat. Track guides on YouTube, that's another big one that I spent, God, I don't know how many hours I would have spent on those in my last couple of years on iRacing. I still love them. I don't think there's much of a substitute for them. I feel like I can get about 80% of a track down for a particular car type, and then there'll be 20% that either I know is there and I just can't access it because I don't understand how to take certain corners, or I don't even know it's there because I feel like I'm driving at the max around every corner, but I just don't understand the concepts. Now, as you build up pals in the racing world, that's just another great way to learn. Race with people that are better than you, practice with people that are better than you. I mentioned Greg at the start of the stream. He has been a huge help for me when I've been trying to just squeeze the extra like half a second out of a lap time, especially last year or earlier this year, when I was trying to qualify for a Porsche Canada competition. I needed all the advice he had to offer in order to kind of extract the most out of that. So, track guides on YouTube, they're great. Often you can just find a group of people that you like and then kind of jump in and let them show you the lines and get a sense of speed, etc. One thing to be aware of, which is obvious once you've been in the sim for some time, but was totally not obvious to me initially after having raced in sims with static weather, and this is even before rain, just be aware that the conditions of the track, so the ambient temperature, which of course then has an impact on the track temperature, cloud coverage and moisture level, whole bunch of stuff, humidity level, will have an impact on how grippy the track is, the track state. Does it have marbles and all that kind of stuff. So if you are running test laps and you're trying to compare your lap times against others on the sim, just know track conditions play an enormous role. And I remember one session where I wasn't even comparing myself to anyone else. I was just in a test session. Weather was moving throughout the day. It wasn't static, but I just didn't really know that's how it worked, even though it's pretty obvious. And I was just getting slower all day, and I'd come in, I'd pit, I'd take new pyres, I'd go out again. I'd be like, wow, I'm just so much slower. Well, am I just terrible at this sim that I drive more and I get worse at it? And then eventually post-session, I kind of looked at it the next day, did some research, and I'm like, oh, it's weather. Like the temperature shifted, I think 10 degrees, and the track temperature shifted 5 degrees in that period, and it was going up, so the track was less grippy, and it was impacting my lap times. So even when you're testing, unless you set static conditions, which is one way to just really dial in a track and take all of the weather variables out of it, just be aware that track conditions have a huge role to play in how your lap times will be. Okay, let's hope we can put a 139 down and that it is competitive enough for the split we're in. Another thing I talked about quite a bit last week, and was kind of against starting in the pit lane now. Obviously we're not doing that today. I'm going to set a quali time, but at some point in the next couple of weeks I will do that just to try it. I've never done it actually, so I do want to do that and see what it's like from a rookie's perspective. A lot of people will say that's a great thing to do, you can learn, the racing. I'm not a fan because I think it's taking away the opportunity to race with others, at least for the start of the race anyway. So yeah, you might be able to get more safety rating if you just hang out at the back, but you know, is that really what you want to get the benefit from when you're kind of doing your early races? And I think, you know, even if you sacrifice a bit of safety rating, getting more of that, you know, battle experience, situational awareness, that's where the value's at. Right, I'm going to pay attention here. Make sure I can actually set some lap. It's not terrible. So out laps, so I'm not pushing the tyres too hard. Better drivers than me will have a much more methodical way of driving this. I generally just try not to hammer it too much. Try not to get too much tyre squeal, but I'll be honest, in this MX-5, I feel like you turn the wheel and you get squeal, so you do. There's a big off track on that corner there. That's the one just gone. Have to keep an eye on that in the race.
Green flag, green flag.
Oh, got in deep on the last corner. That's going to immediately hurt my lap time. Not ideal.
Okay, here comes your first time lap.
Okay, let's see. Can we get a good banker in? Try not to overdo it. Definitely take that 2-1 and 2 combination faster. Don't seem to have the confidence right now. Car's doing a lot of sliding, I'll be honest. Doesn't feel quick on this lap. Just trying to modulate the throttle here to bring the back round or get the front to bite. Not perfect, not terrible. Steady, nothing to ride home about. I suppose that's what you want for a banker. Felt a little slow, if I'm honest. Oof, on the edge there, terrible entry for my last corner because of that. I'll just get the foot down and hopefully not blow it completely. Oh, that was a good lap until the last corner. And
one more lap.
Overcooked it. What do we have?
40.5.
Oh, it's a disaster last couple of corners. Okay, let's focus now then. The car's got much more grip now, so we're going to push it. Lots of tyre squeal, doesn't sound healthy, but I don't think it's too bad in a car like this. Oh, drifting, can we hold it? Oh, it got away with it. Wasn't fast, but held on to it. Oh my god, that was so slow. Don't know what happened there, just didn't get the gas. Lost a bit of confidence. Better last corner at least. Let's get us in the 39s, so we'll call that job done.
Checkered flag, checkered flag.
Right, a 39.7. What are the people putting in behind us? 42.1. Okay, well, that might be good enough for pole then. That didn't work out for us too well last time. See how it goes tonight.
Still waiting on 2 cars to grid.
Right, we've got 2 cars to grid. We are going to try and clutch
Waiting on the
this.
final car to grid.
This could be an absolute disaster.
Green, green, green.
Oh, bogged, but it wasn't the worst.
Right side.
Fancies it in first corner, which is
Clear on the right.
Rookies. Just gonna. Oh, we've got a little wobble on there. Let's see if we can just stay tight now. We have the power down. Okay, survive T1. Take it. Let's see if we can just put a few consistent laps together early on here. Now we know the tyres will be like absolute nightmarish condition for these first couple of laps. So we'll just drive with that in mind. Let's go for smoothness. Not too bad. So P2 is going to be quick through those S's. I better get my ass in gear. I don't think I'm driving that as well as it could be. Oh, he fancies a little look, okay. Right, so we look disastrously slow in the middle sector. So maybe we need to learn how to drive that one a little better.
47.6.
It was a better start than last week, I'll be honest. We're already facing the wrong way this time a week ago. Okay, right, solid start. So let's have a look at things. Well, maybe we talk driver aids actually as we have a little bit of time. Not really in, no one close behind us. I see some interesting things online about that, to be honest. I mean, the most contentious probably is driving line. And I'll be honest, I think driving line early on is a why not idea. You know, if you're trying to learn the track, maybe you've watched a few track guides and you're just trying to translate that a little bit onto the track, then yeah, you know, just early on as you're trying to learn a track, get the absolute basics of it. I don't really see any harm, but I'll be honest, I would be trying to get that racing line off as soon as you can, you know, and certainly you don't want it on when you're on the track with other cars. Now, the reasons I would say it's a problem is because it's going to teach you a line. It's a line that may not be the fastest anyway, and so that's not always a good thing. And what you really need to be good at when you're racing is being able to take multiple lines. Oh, we're getting caught up here. Better pay a bit of attention. So yes, racing line. Not a bad thing when you're starting out, trying to learn a new track. But equally, you know, track guides are great too, to be honest. You know, and I'll be honest, I used probably the racing line really early on in iRacing. Okay, we're going to get focused a bit here. But it didn't take me long to switch it off because I felt track guides did exactly the same thing, and then it was just more repetition and muscle memory, which I think was key for me. Right, these two are battling but still catching me, which suggests, look at that, I've given away a second on that lap. Clearly not good at
41 even.
Chatting and driving. 41 even, yeah, that is a bit slow. Right, let's dial in a bit here so we can get a bit faster. Still convinced I'm absolutely grandma slow around this corner, but never mind. It's true the tyres are warm now, so you can basically give the car quite a bit more. Oh, look at this guy, he's right there with us now. Oh yeah, he's P3 up to P2. He's got some fire. He's going to be onto us. Going to get a battle. I like it. Going to expose our weaknesses, I think, in this middle sector that we're struggling with. got to get a better run through that chicane. Getting murdered in there every lap, basically. Oh my word, we gave away 0.7 on first sector. Brutal. Right, he is faster than us, I would say. So, I have to send it to keep him behind. And that should give us something else to talk about when it comes to like defensive driving when you're in a battle like this. What's the right thing to do? Well, you know, I think driving cleanly is going to be your priority. You know, it's up to him to make the overtake. He's got a run on us here. Is he going to try sending into T1? Or he fancies it?
P2, just at the fastest lap. 38.9.
So we'll
left
give
side,
him some
stay
room,
on the right. You're
we're
pulling
not
away
give
from
up
the
the
car
corner.
behind. The gap is 2.3 seconds. Clear. Right side.
Well, this is a good little battle. So
Still
now
there,
we're
hold your
completely
line.
compromised on this corner, but we do have the inside line, so we'll hold
Stay
that.
on the left. Clear on the right. Car right. Clear.
I don't know where he went there. It's a car right. Oh, he's been, he was off. Interesting. So I think you've got to be fair, and I hope we were there. We'll have a look at the replay after. But I think even in rookies, you've got to be, you know, even as a new driver, you've got to be prepared to defend your line. Don't make it too easy for someone. You know, it's got to be up to him to make the move. I think we're a little bit slow from in the chicane, which I'm not doing on purpose. I'm just don't have that down yet, if I'm honest. But again, you know, onus has got to be on the driver behind to make the clean pass. I'm just sliding this in Scandinavian style at the moment. Don't think that's going to be great for the tyres. Right, are we doing a bit better lap time wise now with this guy hustling? I don't know.
40.7.
40.7. Well, we did some defending on that lap, I suppose that's why. Just struggling with a lot of car. Oh, we're drifting wide. He's going to have a run on us surely down to this corner, but we're not going to give up the inside line again. Try and be fair, we'll give him room. If you can get it round the outside, he can do so. Now the reality is this is quite a tricky track to overtake on, in my view at least. Because he's got to get a run on one of these straights, and if we position the car well, we should at least make it difficult, which has got to be the game plan. Well, now here he's going to have a chance because we've got to run wide on exit. So I'm not going to fight this. I don't think
keep to the left.
Would have been a bit aggressive for me to cut him off right after the corner. So
still
let
there,
him go.
hold your line. Clear, car right, clear.
Felt like a bit aggressive on the brakes from in there. Now we'll be the chaser. Let's see if we can stay with him for a lap or so here. I have to say, I much prefer chasing than I do being chased. I can never quite drive with the same consistency as I'm looking for.
40.7. The next car's the leader. The leader is running 40 even.
So we'll just try and put him under a little bit of pressure now, and we'll see how he gets along. We'll also try and learn some of the lines where he's clearly quicker than us. So he can carry more speed through T2. That is for sure. Bit aggressive into T3. Oh, yeah, I see that. Carries good speed through there. Pick up our first 1x of the night. He gets on the brakes here. Maybe that's what we should be doing just to get the car around. I like that. Well, pretty even Steven. He's a little quicker through the S's, we know that. Especially through these ones. sticking with John. Oh, he's getting defensive. Look at that. All right, John, I'm nowhere near you, buddy. I think you're safe for a little while here. Folks trying to get a good exit here. He's got 1, 2. Fair enough.
You just got the white flag. That means one more lap to go.
So we're much faster in the last 2 corners. I just don't know if I can engineer an overtake from that. Not enough to somehow be on the inside for that last corner, which don't know if it's going to be on, but we'll put a bit of pressure on. Let's see how this goes. But of course, we need to stay close enough. He's not had a great T2 there. But neither have we, to be fair. I do like this chucking it in business. Wish I'd practiced that a bit more. Can't do it very well, but looks pretty cool. Ooh, back marker. Could that yet? The cat amongst the pigeons. Taking out some cones.
Slow down. You got a penalty.
Oh no, we've blown it. We got a course-cutting penalty. Well, that's also a good thing to talk about. You obviously want to work those off as quick as you can. But unfortunately that is always going to put pay to the battle ahead. It also goes to show just how important practice is, because I never hit those cones in practice, so I didn't know that was going to give us a slow down penalty, which cost us the hunt.
You're losing on the car in front. The gap is 1.3 seconds.
Yeah, unnecessary 2x at the end of the race. Classic. Well, other than that little excursion, that was a pretty solid race. Good racing, John. Deserved his victory. Let's have a look at the race. Actually didn't get a bad start. Didn't feel great. So Austin behind us got, well, just about everyone got a better start really, but not so good that, well, ours wasn't so bad that it was going to cost us. Oh no, let's have a look at that. What happened there? Cold tyres going in hot, I'm going to guess. Here we go. Let's get on. Let's go right along with Dirk. Oh no, it's the car ahead. Oh dear, that all went wrong on entry. Too much speed, cold tyres. Man, it was a goner. Oh, look at the angle of the corner. That's also a problem here. You know, you're going to have to brake earlier to carry this sort of speed. Oh, yeah. Now, there's an interesting one. You need to brake earlier, you know, for Peter here, unfortunately, because Austin was always going to cut back. He's more on the racing line. We're on a more defensive line. And I think, yeah, it's a bit rough. Trying to take that tight, and then look at that. The back end steps out. The curb doesn't help. And I mean, look at that. Unrecoverable. Completely gone already. Oh, does it come back round? Can they catch it the other way? No, classic. Too much. They're pretty hard to catch spins in these. Oh, my word. Was there any damage? Have a quick look. Oh, nice. Oh, we even got it pointing the right way. Look at that. Style points for that one. Right, not much happened, I don't think, for a while, so we'll just whiz this on. Let's just move the laps on, actually. Let's see, when did we get overtaken? Was it this lap? No, here it was, this lap. So let's see. What could we have done better? Now, there's no question here. John faster than us, so he was probably coming by at some point. But we had done a pretty good job of defending. We were super defensive here. But not too bad, enough that we were going to keep him behind. Look at that, he fancied it. We were good. Still just did enough, but this was the problem. It's always about your exit speeds, or so I've come to learn. And this was the problem. We just, you know, we could have been slower through the middle of the chicane here. You know, we should have sacrificed a little bit of entry to just set up a really powerful exit, and then we would have stayed ahead. But I'm just trying to carry too much speed, and then here, slide in, and just there, just here, I'm turning, but the car's not tracking. So I've got massive understeer, and as soon as I get that, I'm scrubbing speed. I'm taking much longer to get around the track. And if we have a look behind us, we'll see John, look at that, taking much more sensible, better line in, hit the apex, already able to get full on the power here. The reason I didn't fight this is because he was coming by. I could have gone right, he would have just driven straight on and taken the racing line. So that was good driving by John, and I'll say sensible driving by us. Now, which is the last lap? Just want to see where we got this unfortunate. Is there one more lap? Maybe there's one more. So I think it's this one. Let's have a look at this. Where did we go? Oh no, was it? Yeah, it was on. Oh, look at that on entry, brutal. Let's go in car just for a second here. So yeah, so here we're good, and then bang, we're hitting something. Oh yeah, I imagine you can probably get half a car length over, and any more you're in trouble. And so we're all right there, we're okay until here, boom, problem. Yeah, and then of course you hit that, bang. Then we take the second one for good measure, and off we go. And that cost us a run at John for the finish, which is a bit of a shame, but I don't think we would have called him. He was faster than we were anyway. All right, let's jump out. Let's have a quick review of the results, and then we'll wrap it up for tonight. Right, okay, results are in. Good. Oh, look at that. We only got a 2x, but our safety rating didn't go up by as much, 2.92, so that was silly because both of those 1x's were completely avoidable. So they always take the pain. Oh, wow, look at John. Way faster, 38.9. My word. I'm assuming this is another person with a second account because that's rapid. So you know what? We did all right to stick with him. Although it's kind of weird because his rating is 1340. But, it's a pretty solid best lap. I got nowhere near that even in qualifying, to be honest. So, yeah, kind of interesting race. I'm just a little bit surprised that John's iRating is in the 1300s when he's able to bang out a lap like that. Well, good on you, John. That was a pretty good race. Okay, we'll call that a wrap for this week. Highlights will be up on YouTube, hopefully by tomorrow night. Always is a bit of a struggle just doing it post work and getting the kids to bed, but that's going to be the plan. And then there will be some more content. I don't know if I'll be ready to release some of the main content on Sunday. That's going to kind of be my schedule. Every other week's the target, and then if I've managed to get extra footage recorded and edited, then I'll just slide one out every Sunday for a couple of weeks if I can. I have a couple of things on my mind. Like I did some drag racing with the RS6. The footage isn't amazing, but I might have enough just to patch together a short video on that. So I'm going to take a look at that probably tomorrow and just see if I can pull something together. And if not, I'm going to focus back on iRacing rig setup, PC setup, and it'll either be a setup guide, which is a bit of an extension of the graphics optimization, where I didn't do a lot of like before and after on that one, and that's been a comment that I was reading yesterday around, hey, wouldn't it be great to actually get footage of how much each of these graphic settings in iRacing impacts you in the sim. So that'll take a bit of time to film, but I do like the idea of that because I also would love that when I was setting up iRacing and trying to figure out how to optimize my setup. So that's on the list. We'll take a look at it. But one of the other ones that's top of mind for me I really want to do is just general rig setup. How to set up triple screens effectively. And I don't mean software wise, I mean the physical setup kind of in your room. There's tons of, I guess, sort of guides for individual components, but even things as simple as wiring and seat position and, the height of the steering wheel and stuff like that. there's so much nuance. I'm sure some of it certainly personal preference, but some of it, especially when it comes to wiring, is stuff that you might not think about that can have sort of a really negative impact on your setup. By running data wires with power lines. I never knew, but that's a bad idea and causes interference. So yeah, I've got a few irons in the fire in terms of content I want to get out there. But yes, if there's nothing up by this Sunday, it'll be the Sunday after, and it'll, as I said, either be something around iRacing, stroke rig setup, or if I can cobble together a decent set of footage from the kind of airfield day that I did with the RS6 in the late spring, it'll be that. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next Wednesday. We have not made it out of rookies yet, so we'll certainly still be in rookies. And maybe we'll try starting from the pit lane next week, just to test that out. I've never done it. I think it's a bad idea, but why don't we try it and just see, is it a bad idea, and are there some benefits to it, and what is racing like if you do it that way? So that's probably what we'll do next week. We'll be at a different track, as obviously the week will have ticked over. I'm kind of hoping it's a track that I know. Otherwise, I'll be doing a quick learn of it this weekend. But otherwise, thank you for tuning in. If you've caught this on YouTube, thank you for catching the highlights, and I will see you all next week.